Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing a review of an adventure film from Norway. Although it's from Norway, it's not in the Norwegian language. It's spoken entirely in English, so you don't have to contend with any subtitles. So it was released in the year 2012, directed by Joachim Roning and Espen Sandberg, and this film is called Kon-Tiki. And the story to Kon-Tiki is as follows. In 1947, the world is gripped with excitement as the young Norwegian adventurer Thor Heyerdahl embarks on an astonishing expedition. A journey of 4,300 nautical miles across the Pacific Ocean on the Kon-Tiki raft. From his days living in the Polynesian islands with his wife Liv, Thor suspected that the South Sea Islands had been settled by ancient South Americans from thousands of miles to the east. Despite his inability to swim and the fear of water, Thor decides to prove his theory by sailing the legendary voyage himself. After replicating the design of an ancient raft in balsa wood, Thor and 5 fellow adventurers set sail from Peru. Their only modern equipment is a radio, and they take a parrot along for company. A natural leader, Thor uses the stars and the ocean's current to navigate the raft. During 3 dangerous months on the open sea, the crew encounters raging storms, sharks, and all the dangers that the ocean can muster. Thor and his crew are tested physically and mentally on this epic journey of courage, faith, and friendship. So the movie is about Thor Heyerdahl's expedition from Peru to the Polynesian islands in nothing but a raft. So all he didn't have any motor on his raft. It was basically just him and nature, letting nature take them to where nature wanted them. So it's based on the true story, and you've got basically in the start of the movie, Thor Heyerdahl, who is doing his studies on the Polynesian islands. He believes that Polynesia wasn't founded by Asians. In fact, it was founded by Peruvians from South America, thousands of miles to the east. So he does his studies, he concludes his studies, he goes to New York, and he gives his studies to this historian. The historian is saying that this is ridiculous. There is no way that these Peruvians could have done this by a raft, and that if he wants any credibility to his story, he's going to have to prove that this was in fact possible. So the only way that Thor can prove this is by doing this journey himself. So he recruits 5 crewmates to do this, and he has a replica of what the raft was thousands of years ago. He goes to Peru, he sets sail from Peru, and he is going to basically come to the Polynesian islands 100 days later. So along the way, he comes across raging storms, sharks, whales, and also the possibility that the current and the wind has blown him off course. So whether or not he can achieve this goal, that's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Kon-Tiki. This is a really interesting film because it is obviously based on a true story, and the Kon-Tiki boat tours are based on the Kon-Tiki voyage. And a lot of people talk about it, and not a lot of films that I've heard of really depict this courageous effort. And when I saw this movie, I was blown away by the sheer magnitude of this achievement. This is basically showing you that if you want something badly enough, nothing will stop you, that you can brave the elements, that you basically fight against nature and you can achieve it. And it's basically, the movie is nature versus humanity, and how nature, that something could seem really bad and really scary, but it's not that scary if you have it in your heart that you want to do it. And I thought that was the biggest positive to the film. The best thing about the movie was showing you the triumph of the human spirit, that if you are going through something bad in your life, that nothing is ever that bad, that you can achieve great things no matter what, and that the movie doubles as a life lesson. Basically, these 5 people on the boat, they have such a vast environment that if they get lost, they're completely gone. But their determination, their sheer willpower just drove them through the impossible odds. And it doubles as I said, a life lesson where you could be going through something really bad, that it feels like nothing is ever going to get better. But if you fight through it, you can achieve greatness. And that's why I think the film has such a positive heart. Thor Heyerdahl was such an inspiring person. He was such a positive person. The only problem I had with the characters was that I thought the characters weren't drawn out very well. But Thor Heyerdahl was by far the most interesting character, and I thought that his positivity just got him over the line. And it shows you the power of positivity, the power of never giving up. and that is what makes it such a kind-hearted film. I thought the cinematography was breathtaking. A lot of people comment about how good this film looks, and that is not an understatement. This is a beautiful looking film, absolutely gorgeous. This is on the Blu-ray, so I would highly recommend you check this out on Blu-ray. Just the sheer volume of the ocean was captured brilliantly. I thought there were some scenes, in particular a scene involving a whale, that was absolutely unforgettable. There was a scene involving sharks as well that I thought was truly suspenseful, really got under my skin. I'm terrified by sharks, but at the same time, I can marvel at their beauty. And that's what the film does. Even though the sharks were really deadly, everything in the movie had a sheer beauty to it. And it leaves you enthralled. I was just in a trance watching just how the raft just sailed through all of these troublesome moments. And as I said, it's just about willpower, the sheer willpower of human beings up against the elements of nature. And it's just a battle. Throughout the whole film, it's just a battle, and it's just adventure of the truest form. So that is what I loved about it the most. There was a really touching scene between Thor Heyerdahl and a crab. And the crab, it basically comes up every now and then, and Thor is talking to the crab. And that's why I felt the connection between humanity and nature. And I thought that was one of the most beautiful scenes that I've seen in a long time. The beautiful exchange between a human being and a crab. And I wasn't expecting that. And I just thought that, yes, this movie gets what life is about. And that I loved how the movie came about. I loved every minute of it. I wanted to know more. And unfortunately, the runtime of the movie is the ultimate downfall of the movie. But what you see on the screen is just so captivating. It will make you think. And it says to yourself, yeah, no matter what I'm going through in my life, I can achieve greatness as well. And so for that, I can applaud the filmmaker. He made a really, really memorable adventure film. Thought the soundtrack was really, really well done. And it was just a very respectful film. And it's just one of those movies that will make you feel really good about yourself. And yeah, for that, I loved it. Unfortunately, it wasn't a masterpiece. Now, the problem I had with the film was the fact that it only goes for 114 minutes. Now, usually 114 minutes is a very long film. But in this case, I would have liked it to have been a 3-hour movie, because a 3-hour movie is an epic movie. And an epic movie was sufficient for an epic story. But I felt that 114 minutes was not doing the monumental achievement justice. It didn't feel like an epic encounter. These people are going, 100 days on the ocean, and that it was grueling, it was tedious, it was frightening. And all these, the emotion had been sucked out of them. They were exhausted. But at the end of the film, you don't feel so much exhausted as a viewer. You know that they're exhausted by what you see, but you don't feel the exhaustion. And I thought you would have felt it if it was a 3-hour movie. If they made certain events very tedious, it made you bored. It really would have got you into the shoes of these people, what they were feeling on the high seas. I just thought that 114 minutes didn't do it justice, because it felt like it cut some corners. And that was my biggest criticism, and I was a little bit disappointed by that, because I left myself wanting more, because it was such a massive achievement, but it just didn't feel like an epic film to match the epic accomplishment that these people achieved. So I just felt that a little bit longer. It also would have given a little bit more time into the characters. Thor Heyerdahl was a very positive human being, very likable. Everything that was negative in the voyage, he combated with positivity. And also that shows you the power of positivity, and how positivity can get you through bad moments, in that Thor never knelt down, and he never agreed with the negativity that was from his crewmates. And you could see that the positivity from Thor was having an effect on the crewmates, and it shows you that not everyone can be a leader. Not everyone can brave the negativity and make something a positive out of it. So I love that character. I mean, he is a very inspiring individual, but because the movie's not that long, it has to juggle between giving you character development and giving you the development of the actual expedition. So a 3-hour movie would have allowed it to have some character development and then give you an insight into the expedition. But because it's 114 minutes, I felt that it skipped a little bit of the character development. Although you get an insight into Thor's character, a little bit more insight into other characters would have been great, because it would have just made you one of them. But unfortunately, you just get a slight disconnection with the characters that makes it feel like a movie instead of actually experiencing it. But thankfully, the cinematography really does capture an adventure film very well. Having said those negatives, that is no way degrading the film. It's still a film that I would highly recommend. I enjoyed it. I'm so happy that I got it, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will love it as well. So overall, for Kon-Tiki, it's not a masterpiece. There are a few things that I would have changed, but overall, it's a fascinating film, and it's a very, very uplifting and inspiring film at that. So overall, for Kon-Tiki, I'm giving it 4 stars, and it's coming highly recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.